Good morning, everyone. Hello, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I am Crystal Hinkle, part of the team here at Syncro. I'll let the ladies introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Tatiana, part of the sales team here. Welcome everyone. Happy to see those of you returning and some new faces here today as well.
Hey everyone, I'm Brandy, also a member of the Synchro sales team. I recognize a lot of names that I've been shooting emails off to this morning, so welcome to Open Office Hours.
Awesome. Yes, we love seeing our returning guests. It's always fun. For those of you that this is your first time in Open Office Hours, I'll give kind of my normal spiel. There are no wrong answers. There's no wrong questions. Maybe there's wrong answers.
Don't hold us to that.
Wrong answers, but really, whatever questions you have, doesn't matter what journey you're in with Syncro, just starting out, have never looked at it, have been using or paying us for a year. It does not matter. Whatever questions you have, use the Q&A. That's the best way for us to monitor. So if you see us looking at a different screen, we're probably just queuing up those next questions. So please feel free, whatever questions you had maybe throughout the week. Cool thing, just a quick quick announcement. We did add another time for Open Office Hours. It was really highly requested. I love Friday mornings, kind of like heading into the weekend, but we did have a lot of requests that maybe this wasn't the best time for everybody. So we did add a time on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. So hopefully that'll help accommodate for anyone that this is kind of a rough time zone, or if you just have more questions and you don't want to wait till Friday. So you feel free to register for Tuesdays as well. What I thought would be kind of great is what we've been doing is kind of doing some deep dive sessions during these open office hours, maybe some features that we as people that provide demos and product tours, questions we often hear like, hey, I really want to see what that looks like, or what do you mean by Syncro is the modern MSP that makes you more money? What does that even mean? So I think we're going to start doing different deep dives. And so one of the ones that I wanted to just show really quickly as I'm doing this, feel free though, as you have questions, please just, pop those into the Q&A. But what I wanted to show you, because one of the things that sometimes we don't all the time show in a demo is our payment processors. And there's a ton of power with having integrated payment processors within Syncro. The integration itself doesn't cost anything. Obviously, you know that we have integrations with both QuickBooks and Xero, where we have a lot of competitors that even just setting up that connection, you have to have a third-party tool that costs you additional money, but that's not the case within Syncro. It's a very native integration where, again, QuickBooks, Xero, and then we also have payment processors that complement that as well. And what I mean by that is that when you send a reoccurring invoice, or if it's a one-off invoice, you have the ability to receive credit card payments or even ACH payments right within your Syncro dashboard. You don't even have to leave Syncro. In addition to that, your customers can self-serve paying their invoices, which obviously any way to make it easier for you to get paid, the better. So I just wanted to show you a few things. I'm going to show you what a customer portal looks like. And what I'm showing you, this one is Worldpay. We do have integrations with Stripe, PayPal, Authorize.net. But this specifically is what Worldpay is. Although I think they all look the same from a UI standpoint. But if you go to a person's customer portal that you have a payment processor integration, you'll see that they have stored payment options where they can manage their own credit cards. So they can hop in here and manage, like if one's going to expire, they can update their own card information. They can add multiple cards. They can set this up self-serve. In addition to that, you'll see on our main demo account, we don't have this Worldpay integration set up. So if you've seen a demo with us before, you may have not seen these buttons here. So this is kind of big time. Again, your customer can come right here, click pay now, use their stored credit card, pay their bill in a matter of like less than a minute, which is huge. In addition to that, from your standpoint, if you head over to Invoices, I'm just going to show you, because I know we talk about the different settings that are available on a reoccurring invoice when you do have a payment processor integrated, but I'd like to actually show it to you. So from here, you can see that you have the ability to auto charge a card on file. There's a huge amount of power here. So maybe you even say, hey, if you allow me to automatically charge a card on file, I'll give you a 5% discount or whatever, which in the long run probably makes you more money. So you know that payment is being made on time. You're not leaving it up to the customer. You get to choose which card. So they might have a credit card on file, but they might also have an ACH set up as well. So you can choose which one you want to use there. You can choose if you want to charge the card on the due date or on its creation date, which is kind of nice. And then also you can choose if you want to retry that card. So if for any reason it fails, you can choose to continue to retry that card to make sure that you get paid. So there's some amazing things here. There's additional things in, I guess before I do that, one thing I'll just show you too. So that's a reoccurring invoice, of course, but any invoice that you're on, really, if it's just a one-off invoice, if you go to take payment, you'll now have the option to choose the credit card and then, choose the card that they have on file. So it's pretty awesome that you have that ability as well. And then the last thing that I just wanted to quickly show too, there are some notifications in your admin section. And I believe you can be notified. I think it's like if the card fails, this is a part where maybe I'm not as familiar with exactly what the notifications are called. But I think it's like something along the lines of when the credit card fails. Do you guys know? I don't know. I can't remember. So I can't remember if it's credit. I might have to look into this while we go, but
it might be under payment.
Oh.
Sometimes it could be.
Yeah, you might be right. Under payment was made. Oh, see, okay. Payment was made via the customer portal. A new card was stored. So you can see there. Thank you, Brandy. There's a ton of new notifications here too that obviously you wouldn't see those unless you had that payment processor integrated. So these are really nice to just keep you up to date on what's going on. So anyway, for you to be able to ensure that you're getting paid on a regular basis will in the long run make you more money. And this integration is pretty dang awesome. So again, we do integrate this specific integration is Worldpay, but I think, like I said, from a UI standpoint, I think they look very similar when it comes to like your Stripe integration, because with Stripe, your customers have the ability to, save profiles as well. So hopefully, if you've never seen that before, hopefully that was helpful. Of course, if you have any questions, let us know, but otherwise, we will probably just dive into the questions. Was there any questions regarding this? I haven't looked over there yet. If not, you guys can hop right into.
Yeah, there are a couple questions. I see, Tatiana, you have one on here.
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm not sure how to answer, so I'm waiting to get a response on those. So we can kind of just move down the list.
Okay.
On those.
Awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and take two that are in here. So first one is, how do you set up trigger monitors inside a policy, and can you have it run a script if that trigger is in a failed state? So you're not able to do it on a policy level. However, what you can do is if you just go into assets in RMM, and sorry, I have a lot of tabs open. And then if you just go to actions and automated remediations, what's going to happen here is you can set up your triggers in conditions. So it can be anything. These are pulling from any custom scripts that you've added, anything that you've imported from the community script library, any of the built-in triggers that you'll notice are on the policy level. So I could have HD Smart failure or backup failure, whatever it is that you're looking for here. You can say, okay, from there, if this happens, I want to go ahead and run a script. And then this drop down is, again, those that you've added or that you've imported from the community script library. So you can, of course, take this a step further and you can create a ticket. You could email the customer, clear the alert. But if you're specifically looking for triggers and then to run scripts, then I would set that up in automated remediations. hopefully that helps. And then there was a question about scripts. So someone wanted to see the internet speed test and how you would set that up. So if you just head over into the community script library, you'll just search for internet speed. You'll see it's going to come up as the speed test here. One thing to note is that you do need to have a custom field. So if you'll go into your admin section, under customers, you're going to notice asset custom fields. For your Synchro devices, which are going to be your managed devices, you're going to want to go ahead and add a custom field for internet speed. It'll just be a text box. And then when you're running this script, you'll notice that you can add, if I add a script variable and do platform, then I'm able to choose my asset, or actually, let's see, custom field. It will be in here somewhere. There you go. Right here. So you can add this as a platform variable, and then the value will just be your asset custom field internet speed. And when you run this script, it's going to go ahead and report back into your custom field. So I hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandy. I have a couple here. So first one is from Tony. He says, are there plans to integrate Square as a payment processor like this? So definitely let us know, you guys. We do get some requests for Square. We do integrate with 3 other payment processors now, which are Worldpay, PayPal, and Stripe, as Crystal mentioned, but we do receive some requests. So if that's like a must-have for you, please do email help@syncromsp.com so that we can collect those and kind of bump that on the priority list for our developers. Another question here was from, I believe, we are zooming around. So Martin says, I got a question about payment platform. What do we do with unpaid invoices that I know I will never get paid for? Any suggestions? So a couple things you can do there. Of course, this is on a case-by-case basis. You might want to consult with your accountant on how you have your books set up for debt that you're writing off that you know that you're not going to collect payment for. One option is just to delete the invoice completely. Again, I would consider the second option, which would be to just mark the invoices paid through QuickPay and then make a note in the customer profile that says something like this, that kind of reminds you to let the customer know that they still have an outstanding balance for you, because if you do delete that invoice, you're going to lose all of that historical data there. So just using just a the quick pay button. I don't know if you guys have seen this before. I'll show it to you real quick. It's pretty straightforward. If you go over to the invoices, let me move our faces out of the way here. Under the invoices section, when you open any invoice, it's just a quick way for you to mark an invoice as paid. You just open an invoice there and then select actions, or actually this one is paid already. Make sure we open one that has not been paid yet, and then in here you can say quick payment right there, and it'll just mark the invoice as paid. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome. I'm going to grab just a couple. First, Jason, I was hoping, the question is there a way to show the date applied in the line items to add to an invoice? So I just wanted to verify exactly what you mean by date applied. Do you mean the date that the payment was applied or the date that the charge was applied? So there's like 2 different answers there. So one thing that I will just show you really quickly here. If you go to, I'm in the admin section. I just wanted to show you, it depends on what you're talking about. So on an invoice template, if you want to show like the date of like the ticket charge or something like that shows up on an invoice, you absolutely can go to your actual invoice template and use these tags and make sure that that is included in those line items. The other thing too that's really helpful in that regard is you can customize the line items that are actually added to a ticket so that they do look exactly how you want them to look on an invoice. So I just passed right by it. But if you go to ticket preferences, this is a spot that I find that a lot of people don't know exists. So if you go to additional options here in the ticket preferences, you can head down here and you can customize text for ticket charges. And so what this does, if I just click this little tooltip here and go to ticket timer tags, you can customize exactly what you want. So Jason, if this is not answering your question, this is hopefully helpful for everyone else that's here too, but you can customize those line items. Was there clarification there from Jason? Does anyone see? Yeah, because I just wasn't sure which part of that he was talking about. Do you think that covers it, everyone?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. There's another one that I was just gonna grab really quickly from Jeremy. And I think this is like a mix between a feature request and possibly like a little bit of a workaround option that we have, but this might be a feature request, but is there a way to run automation to create tickets based on asset values? Specifically, we have created a custom asset type for domain settings, and one of the values is a date for registration expires. I'd love to be able to create an automation that requires a ticket a week before the expiration. So one of the things that I just wanted to show you, and I had it brought up right here, because we talked about this last week actually, you can have asset custom fields with expiration dates, so you can get notifications based on like how far out that expiration date is. So this notification doesn't necessarily trigger an automation to have a ticket created, but the next part of your question is, could you do something with Zapier? Based upon a notification, where you have your notifications going, if you had it going to a specific spot, you might be able to get super creative and have those automatically create a ticket. I haven't played enough around with that yet, but I would definitely use the expiration like date fields in your asset custom fields to be able to at least get that notification flowing. And then I think you could get creative with it.
Awesome. Thank you. Tatiana, are we waiting on an answer for? Okay, cool. I'll go ahead and take a couple questions here. So Jay, if an automated remediation runs a script, can it open a ticket, add time, and close the ticket? Love this. So it's going to take a couple steps here, but it can absolutely be done. So what's going to happen first of all is you're going to set up your automated remediation. The example that I set up here for you is just, okay, trigger categories, low hard drive space. I'm going to convert this into a ticket. I'm going to make the subject line low hard drive space. The ticket type or the subject are going to be the main what you're going to want to use right here on your ticket automations. So then I can run a script. Now I'm going to pop over to the scripts real quick. You can edit any script that's going to be in the community script library that you've imported into your own or anything you've added. What I like to do is you could take like a clean temp files, edit that or clone it, and then you could come down to the bottom. We have a PowerShell module. Add this string of text to log 30 minutes of time in a ticket. Now, every time you run this script, you might not want to log 30 minutes of time. So what you do is over in your automations, you'd want to make sure you selected that particular script. Maybe you call it clean temp files plus 30 minutes, but you can log time that way. And then you could go ahead and clear the alert. You can use your ticket automations then to say, okay, if a ticket subject is low hard drive space, then I'm going to go ahead and you could change this to RMM alert, whatever you wanted in here. You could just go ahead and change the status to resolved. So now you've got your RMM alert turning into tickets, running scripts, closing the ticket, clearing the alert, adding 30 minutes of time in the ticket, full circle without you ever having to touch the device. So it's almost like having another technician with a lot of this stuff. Make more money.
I know I love this one because we have a video where it's like make money while you sleep. Like that's my favorite.
I like it too, especially like if you're a one-man shop or maybe with everything that's gone on, you are down a technician or two. This is basically acting like another technician. You can have tons of automations. You're able to, you know, get paid on these different things that you're doing. So really, really, really love those.
Awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and address this top one here just because I'm not getting a super quick response on this. And I think this might be something that needs to be looked into by tech support. So Miles, for your question, you said paid 2 different invoices yesterday, both with credit card, Worldpay, not offline credit card. One showed on the Z report and one didn't. Can't figure out why. So I do recommend reaching out to our tech support team on that. I will show you there is another report that I was just kind of taking a look at to see if there was something I can help you with. But we do have a separate report called the daily payments report that could be helpful in kind of just seeing if for some reason it was marked in this section instead. So I do recommend reaching out to our tech support for kind of a closer look at that. And then I was going to take another one here. Another question was from Anonymous asked, can you just not do a charge off or bad debt for an invoice? And so you definitely, that is an option. Another suggestion that I had from our technical support team was you could also zero out the line items in a way on your invoice so that it doesn't actually affect your kind of your balance sheet, and that information that switches over to QuickBooks or Xero if you have any of those syncing over. So that's just something else to consider. Maybe you can leave it in the line item notes or something like that, the actual amount paid, but just again, so that it doesn't mess with your books if you can't mark it as bad debt. And then the last one in here was from Sebastian. He says, we have recurring invoice for clients that have all you can eat contracts. So I want all tickets to get charged to that. How do I add extra charges from a ticket that's not included? For example, when installing a new computer. So again, if you have your recurring invoices set up, I'll show you guys as I share my screen here. If you go over to your invoices section and head over to the recurring invoices, this is actually as easy to do just with a single click of a button. So if you go over to any one of your recurring invoices, I'll select this one here. You have the capability to pull in any pending ticket charges outside the scope of your contract. So if you have a customer that's on an all-you-can-eat model, maybe you're billing them on a per endpoint basis, maybe you're billing them on a per user basis, and you have just kind of a set amount or a set fee that you're billing them for month after month, but then they ask you for a new project or they hire a new employee and you have to get them set up, and that's not included in your, all you can eat type of contract with them. All you have to do is just, when you're creating a ticket for that customer, make sure you charge time to the ticket, and then make sure you have this option right here selected. That'll add any pending ticket charges to this regular recurring invoice, and it's going to show up as a charge at that point. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. I was going to just quickly, there's a comment in here from Tony, and I definitely want to address this, and I kind of want to just like field a quick question here too. So from Tony, the issue with most of the payment processors is that they are nearly useless in Canada. So this is actually something that I would like to know more about. So I know obviously we have feature requests for specific processor companies, like we get like requests all the time for Go card lists and that kind of thing. But my question is that in every country, like in the United States, it's ACH, which that's like a direct debit. But it's called different things in different countries. And so as we research ways to accommodate our payment processors, if you are outside of the United States and there are specific ways that you need to receive payments, if you wouldn't mind just popping that into the Q&A, and I would like to make notes on that, that would be really, really helpful. The other thing I'm going to do really quick, I'm really curious. It's always nice to see, I mentioned at the beginning that everyone can be at a different, place with Synchro. So if you don't mind just like quickly letting us know where you're at in your journey with Synchro, that would be super helpful. It's always nice for us to kind of get a feel for that. It helps us build content and that kind of thing that's helpful for as many people as possible. So awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Crystal. I will go ahead and grab a couple. So Anonymous, I see that you are curious where we post these recordings. I did drop in the chat to all of you guys a link to our YouTube channel. There's a separate little folder with all of our open office hours. We didn't start posting them till I think there's like maybe 13 or something in there, but we will do that on Tuesdays and Fridays now. So it's different content every week. You can absolutely go back and look at them there. And then I also see a question from Bob about the integration on Warranty Master. So I will also drop the KB on the Warranty Master integration in there. But basically it's going to perform automatic warranty checks for all of your assets for you. It's also going to provide things such as renewal dates, upcoming renewal dates for you. And then it also aligns the information with white labeled reports. So it just helps you keep up to date with your clients. But I will absolutely pass that into the chat box as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one here. Jay asks, he says, can canned responses use variables? For example, use a client's name, replace hey there with hey Bill. So I'm going to share my screen. I actually just tested this and I'm pretty excited. I think it's working the way that I'm anticipating. So if you don't know, we do have canned responses within Syncro. If you head over to the admin section and scroll down towards the, I believe it's under ticketing, click into canned responses. This is where you build those. So I tested when I said testing tags, this should say customer name, first name. And so after you've built that canned response, the way where I pulled the tags from is within any of your PDF and email templates or any other section where you have a list of tags. I don't know if all of these will work, but again, I just tested this for you guys. And once you have that canned response built, when you're communicating with your customers within the communication section, you can say, select the canned response in here. And I have the tag listed here, but I went ahead and clicked insert, and then I emailed the customer, and it looks like it is pulling the customer name right in here. So super exciting. I learned something new today as well.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah, I had no idea, but cool, it works.
I love that. I'm always on a demo. I'm like, I don't know, let's just find out.
So the next feature request would be that the tags are listed on the right-hand side when you're creating those canned responses, because then it would be very clear that they were available there. Yep. I was going to grab a few here. I just wanted to let Jason know, I'm going to ask, I'm not sure, the question is there a mechanism for alerting users or admins when there is a problem with SMTP relay sending email? Is this a feature request? I don't know yet, so I'm finding out. Just didn't want you to think that we were skipping over the question. The next question is, can you delete a paid invoice? If so, can you show me how? The only way that you can delete a paid invoice, you have to delete the payment. Like you have to wipe the payment and then you can delete the invoice. So it's kind of a two-step process there. And Jordan wants to know, is there any way to use automation to update the policy assigned to a device? So I don't think there's necessarily an automation unless I'm spacing, but what I know a lot of folks do, I didn't mean to click dashboard. There's a lot of different things you can do with these saved asset searches. So if there's like a specific thing that will trigger when you want to change a policy, you could create a saved asset search. And then like once they hit that specific saved search, you can mass change policies. So, I mean, and it's pretty simple. Like if I were to pull up a saved asset search and just like select all or select a few, you can head up to manage here and you can change a policy en masse. As far as my understanding goes, there's no really way to like completely hands-off automate that. I'd be curious the use case though.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, really curious the use case. So let us know that. I realized I grabbed like a few right in a row. So I'll just grab this last one and then I'll mute myself for a second. It was just from Jason, update on the line item question regarding in the invoice and wanting date stamps that the labor was applied. And so that is, I think I was on the right track here. So the text for ticket timer charges. So in here, I would just make sure that you put like the ticket timer date. That will put in the ticket line item the actual specific timestamp date, so you don't have to go back and do that later. All right, I'm good.
Awesome. Next question here is from Paco. He says, morning, ladies. Morning, Paco. He says, my question is kind of vague. I'm not sure how to ask this. I am looking to see if there's a way to create a report that I could audit software licenses we charge for in Syncro that I can possibly audit against our PAX 8 invoice. This is, of course, is this of course is if Pax8 is set up and integrated and synced on a product to product basis. So I'll share my screen and show you guys what he's talking about. So we do integrate with Pax8. If you guys are looking to sell licenses to your customer, we do recommend Pax8 as a partner, just because it makes it very, very easy for you guys to bill your customers for the licenses that you sell them through Pax8 on our recurring invoices. So within here, again, a couple things I wanted to show. So first things first, we do, with the Pax8 integration, I think for the most part, I think everything should be accurate. I was taking a look at kind of the setup doc that we have available linked in our KB through Pax8. And every time that you purchase a license through Pax8, it's going to ask you, hey, which recurring invoice do you want to point that license to? And so that I believe that's a kind of a required step in order to kind of the purpose of the integration is to be able to bill for those licenses there. So it should be doing that by default. I did check, we do have a software inventory type of report, but this is going to be ran on a customer per customer basis. So again, if that is helpful to you, if you want to kind of run like a quarterly audit or a monthly audit, whatever it might be, it should list kind of what software is available on that end user's endpoints. So hopefully that helps answer your question, Paco.
Cool. I can go ahead and grab a couple that are in here. So looking for a report that's a combination of the vulnerable patches report and patch vulnerability report. That's a tongue twister. Need to see more detail than the asset detail from the vulnerable systems report, but in the vulnerable patches report. Exporting each of these to CSV would be super helpful. So there's not going to be another report. Let me just pull up those two reports really quickly. There's not going to be another report that's going to combine those. Those are definitely going to be the two best here. So the vulnerable systems report right here, this is where I can come in and I can, you can categorize this by customer, but you can also just see all of your assets that are missing patches, and you'd be able to install those in mass. There is a PDF currently, but there's not an export to CSV currently. That would definitely be a feature request.
Sweet. I'm going to grab one from Jason. Is there a way to group items per invoice on customer location, additional sites, addresses? The system is currently capable to assign a specific ticket address to the ticket, so the necessary data should be available. So right now, you're still on like a reoccurring invoice. It will not separate sites and locations based upon like the subset from a main customer. Right now, the workaround or what we recommend is if you have to bill them separately, you actually it's been your best interest to just create each customer with a different location, so that you can have those separated. There's no way, right? Like other than like changing description of line items and things like that.
I wasn't sharing my screen. You guys should have yelled at me. You didn't see me sharing my screen.
I was just like very in tune to what you were saying, and I could picture what you were doing.
Just visual. Yeah. I'm just gonna stop. Sorry.
There's a ton of questions here, which is awesome, and I'm kind of always trying to read on to the next one, so I didn't even realize. Sorry.
Before I'll pass it on really quick, I just was this last one from Ari, I 100% agree. The doc that I was showing you in regards to what all the ticket timer tags are does not really explain what exactly or where they're pulling from. And so the request is to like have a KB around that. So I copy pasted that because we have wanted that for a really long time, because without trial and error, it's sometimes hard to decipher what those tags are and mean. So I wrote that down, and hopefully we can get a KB made up.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. Ari, this next question from you, I'm waiting on a quick response from tech support, so I'll kind of move past that one until I get a response there. Question from Jordan. He says, follow up. We typically deploy different policies to different classes of devices, so maybe different settings to DCs, Hyper-V servers, and workstations. In our current RMM, we just install the agent, and the policy is applied to that device based on the device properties. We would love to be able to do something similar based on device properties and the customer contract type filters. So there's a couple different things going on there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And when you guys are deploying Synchro, there's a couple things to know. So I'll pull up my customer Larry here and a couple different things. So when you guys are installing an RMM agent onto the endpoint in here, and you go to add new RMM installer, this list right here is your list of policies that you have to choose from. So sometimes that's not might be not laid out super clear, but again, in here, if you know the endpoint that you're about to deploy to needs to have, you know, maybe next level type of monitoring, you have a separate policy that's attributed to that. Maybe it's the Bitdefender that has all the additional add-ons that, again, is maybe for the accounting department or the CEO's computer or whatever it might be, or for a server specifically. In here, when you're selecting those, this is kind of your choices of the policies that you currently have available. And again, when you use that package, that is what the settings that are going to be applied. But those are also, those are not set in stone, obviously. If you are looking to edit those in bulk, or maybe you want to, you've kind of sold a higher protection plan to your customer, you can either create a saved a search by customer name, even by location if you wanted to, or create a saved asset search in here, pull those endpoints all together, and then select all, and then update the policy in that way as well. But hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome. I see a question, or just a suggestion about a particular integration. It looks like a CRM. So we'll definitely pass that along. And then I also see, let's see, okay, Sebastian. So for clarification, if I select add pending ticket charges in the recurring invoice, how do I create a one-off invoice that's going to be separate from the recurring invoice when we create a ticket to install that on a new computer? So let me I'll share my screen this time, and I'm just going to open up any particular ticket in here. So let's just say you were working on a new ticket. Let me just make sure none of these are open. So what you would do is you would just turn this into an invoice from the ticket. On your pending ticket charges that are going to be added onto the recurring invoice when you have that button selected. The only ticket charges that are going to be on there are anything that have not been invoiced. So if you do go through the month and you want to invoice them for anything, so I could just type in Larry, we'll see all of his pending ticket charges. These are all of the charges that would be on that recurring invoice. If I wanted to go in and create a one-off invoice, I can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and add this to the invoice, just one thing, and I'm going to go ahead and take payment. Now that removes this particular ticket from the next recurring invoice. So it's really just anything that has not been on an invoice since the previous recurring invoice that runs. So hopefully that helps clarify a little bit.
Sweet. Is it my turn?
Go for it.
All right, I'm going to answer a couple. First from Jeremy, have you ever considered any integrations with Jump Cloud? For instance, like WebRoot, making the agent installable with a policy. So I've got a couple things that I'd like to say about that. So I haven't heard of integrations specifically with Jump Cloud. I've heard it talked about. I don't think there's anything on the roadmap, but there's a few things that I'd like to just share my screen and show you. One is going to be like, here's like use case scenario, and one's kind of more anecdotal, but I'm going to head over to policies here. And I just wanted to make sure that we kind of walked through the use case of at the very bottom of a policy, these setup scripts. This is a really, really great way to run a script that like installs something. So if you have for example, this is one of the ways that we deploy Huntress. So you could have deployment scripts for all of those other things and just put those into a setup script so that when you install that policy on an endpoint, it'll automatically run those installations. The second part of this question that I don't know enough about to like go into super big detail. I'm curious if anyone is using what is it called? Helpdesk buttons or help? Is that what it's called? Helpdesk buttons? So I have spoke to one of our users that essentially relies on Helpdesk buttons for this exact thing. Install Synchro, pushes a ton of stuff. They're actually like their primary field is dental. So there's a lot of dental softwares that they need to deploy on all of their endpoints that aren't like your traditional, like you're saying, like a third-party tool or something like that. And so they use that Helpdesk buttons. The other thing, and I bet if you just posted in our Facebook community right now, or people here might have a really good use case as well, would be able to tell you a little bit more detail how that works. The last thing, of course, is third-party application patch management. So you can have it install certain things, and even if it's not in this list, we've added like the entire Chocolaty database here. So if there are other applications too that you would want installed on a policy level, you can search those as well. So I think there's a few options that might be helpful there.
While you're there too, a lot of people that don't know about like the third-party patching, we have a few built in, but there's like 7,000 to choose from in Chocolaty. There's like between 7,500 and 8,500 every day when I go in to check in Chocolaty. So there's a huge number, and I know a lot. There's no fee. So Richard's asking about a fee to use Chocolaty. No, we use it, and so it's built in. You don't have to have a subscription or anything. But I think that that's an area that really gets lost. People don't click into it and view all of the packages in there, and there's so many.
Yeah, there's a ton. And so I think this is definitely a really great resource. And if there's things outside of that, using our amazing scripting engine, or even looking into those help, I think you have so many options of how to do that. And this is just a really quick one, so I'll just grab it, but asking if there is an integration with Alvic. So not at this time. I don't think that that's on the roadmap at this moment. I know it's been requested for sure. Alvic is awesome. There are a lot of really neat things that, even though we don't have an organically built-in integration, our ticketing system and the way that mailboxes work and how you can have alerts filter in, I know that a lot of our users, really any third-party tool, if it's like a network monitoring type of tool, you can easily get that to work really well within Synchro.
Super helpful. Thanks, ladies. Next question here is from Ari. I'm going to go ahead and just address this. I'll read it out loud. Maybe someone who is here today can assist, or I think you might actually have to create a ticket with the tech support team. He says, I have a website alert that sends out a notification with a spoofed address that is different from the server it's sending from. When I try to send those email messages to Synchro to generate a ticket, nothing comes through. I've tested sending it to a Gmail address instead, and it comes through fine, not even flagged as spam. So I suspect there's something in Synchro that is flagging as spam and stopping it. Can I turn that off to allow spoof messages to come through? So I don't have a good response for you. If somebody else can chime in, please do. Otherwise, I would recommend creating a ticket if something is not allowing to be filtering in. So that's that question there. And then another one here is from Matt. He says, is there another level of access for a customer that would allow them to be able to log in and see their assets? The only way I can see how to do this is to add another full technician. So that's correct. Right now, you do have to add a separate technician. If you guys weren't aware, we do have this option within Syncro. It was originally built, I believe, for people who were either working with consultants or maybe internal IT departments. So if you go over to the admin section, go into your security groups, and in here you'll see one I have called customer specific for my customer Larry. And so again, if you're working with a contractor or a internal IT department that needs access to only that customer's endpoints, there's quite a few different options that they have available to them, so they can see the RMM alerts, they can create tickets, they can run scripts, whatever they need to do. But again, you would have to purchase a whole separate license for this person to be able to access their endpoints and monitor them in this way. And also do keep in mind, Of course, they would only be able to see their own information, as well as kind of they don't have the extensive amount of permissions that you do have on your endpoint. So kind of just take a look into that. If you're currently on trial, you can do some testing and see what's going to be a good fit for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Tatiana. Couple things. Austin wants to know the fastest way to push a Chocolaty install on a one-off situation. I'd probably just put, if it's only going to be on one device, I'd probably just change the policy real quick to a new policy that just pushes that particular software. If you guys know of a different way to do it, as soon as you update a policy, edit a policy, even just click into edit and then hit save without making any changes, it's automatically going to push an install. So I would probably just put them on a different policy, push the install real quickly, and then you can change them back. It's not going to remove the software. So I would do that. And then Sebastian's asking, when I showed the internet speed test to do a custom field to the asset using a script, do you know how to add it to a customer custom field instead of an asset? So I truly don't know if this can be done. I haven't done it, but I do see that it tells you to add an asset custom field. But also when I'm looking later down in the script, it's showing that this is an asset custom field. So I don't know if you need to change this to set customer custom field here. You might want to test with that. I'm not a scripter, I'll be very honest. So I just do, what I know. There might be someone else in this group that can help you out there, but I'm assuming if you were just trying to run this script without editing this, it's because it has it as asset field. Not sure if it's possible, but maybe.
Awesome, super helpful. Thank you, Brandy. Next question here, I'll take is from Scott. He says, with the customer portal, I see there's a way for them to view a list of their assets. Is there a way for us to show another column there? We get asked a lot for which systems are being monitored, but the customers would like to see the note of what computers those are. For example, if they're listed by computer name, not user or location. So a couple things. So I will go ahead and definitely pass along your feedback to the team, because we have rearranged our customer portal and added things based on your guys' requests. Again, if you guys haven't seen this already, if you're brand new to Synchro, on every customer, you get a customer portal. If I click this link, it'll open what the customer can see from their perspective if they're an admin on the customer portal. So they would see your logo here. You can customize these colors. These two options just shipped, I think, within the last 2 months. That was not previously available, but again, something that was important to you guys and applicable to more than just a couple Synchro users. Again, we want to make you guys more profitable, more efficient. And so if showing your customers how assets can be organized in a different way, I went ahead and clicked view all in this separate tab here. Right now, yes, it will show the name, it'll show the serial number, and it'll show the asset type. So this is something to consider too. If it's a Synchro device, that means it has a Synchro agent installed on it, and that your customer can know that this endpoint is actively being monitored. So I don't know, it looks like right now you would probably just need to get creative with the asset name perhaps, and then it looks like serial numbers. I don't think your customers have those memorized, so I don't think that would be super helpful in helping them identify. But again, I'll go ahead and make sure to pass along your request to our team to see if we can get maybe the computer name. It looks like they are listed by computer name, but you said not user or location. So I'll definitely pass that along for you.
Sweet. Okay, I'm gonna grab a couple here. One from, oh shoot, did I go over the top of you, Brandy? Sorry.
You're okay. It was just a follow-up to the Chocolaty thing. I'll show it after, no problem.
Oh, okay. Is there a feature or network scanner that allows remote access to other IP devices the agent cannot be installed on? Looking to access remotely to a switch printer, etc., without remoting into the user's computer. So that's definitely on our development queue right now. There's not necessarily a way to remote into those devices. I will just share my screen super quick here. And I just wanted to show, like, if you are on an asset, and this isn't done on a policy level, this is done on an asset level. This is not a replacement for like a remote connection, but you can set up a system check from an asset. So if you wanted to ping like that router, for example, you could enter, choose ping or web server and enter the remote host information. So not exactly the answer to your question, or the answer that you probably were hoping for, but there is some unique things you can do with this also. And then the other one that I'll just grab really quick, when you upgrade the account, if I choose the annual plan, do I get charged for the entire year at once, or do I get charged monthly as a yearly contract? So we are no contract at all, ever. And so the answer to your question is, if you choose the annual plan, you pay for the entire year up front. And of course, the advantage there is you do see some pretty good savings, like $120 per user you'd see in savings per year. So you can choose annually or monthly, no contracts ever. And so hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yeah. I really think that's important too, because a lot of people think that if they do sign up annually that they are locked in for a year, and you absolutely are not. Do we anticipate or want you to leave us within the year? No, but if you needed to, or, you know, God forbid anything happen, like, we don't just hold on to your money. So you don't have to worry about that. Just paying for the year does not make it to where you have a contract. And I think that's super important. This is crazy, you guys. 10 minutes left and there's only one question in here right now. Okay, so since we have a little bit of time, Austin, I'm gonna show you how to do this. This was in reference to the pushing Chocolaty one off. And I'm assuming you have the Synchro agent installed on this particular device. If you didn't, you could still install Synchro on the device and just have a blank policy. So the first step is just create a policy, and you could literally just say Choco install. I'm going to create it this way. What you could also do is then you could come down to your third-party patching and go ahead and choose that one. You can create a new one or use anything that you already have set up. Choose that one. Let's just say I'm going to do Firefox. Okay, here we go. And I would just save this. And whoops, Firefox. Sorry guys, I'm messing up the demo account, but that's what it's for, right? And then whenever I came back over to that master policy here, after all of my clicks, because I didn't open a new window, then I'm going to go to third-party patching, select Firefox, save, boom, it's going to auto install on that particular device. So hopefully that provides a little bit more clarity. You could probably script and install too. This doesn't take that much time. I know it looks like it, but it's pretty quick. So hopefully that helps.
Sweet. So yeah, we do have some spare time, Jeremy. The question is around the Helpdesk buttons. So I actually don't know if I am like the best person to talk about this, because I haven't actually like used it. But I'll just give a little bit of background. Helpdesk Buttons was actually created by one of our users. And now I think they posted it in our Facebook channel, and they're like, hey, just so you know, we set up this integration because our API is so accessible and awesome. They essentially just built this integration on the back end and then posted it on Facebook, and it's phenomenal. And so what I know is that essentially this is what I know of it. And if anyone else has information, that's great. So in that install script on a policy level, you essentially can just install Helpdesk Buttons onto all of your devices. Helpdesk Buttons can then deploy like whatever you would want it to do. Like it's pretty intuitive that way. And then you can just remove it from the asset. That's what I know. Like I said, one of our users that I have asked specifically what you do with this, that's what they do. And so they don't leave it on the machines at all times. They essentially use our setup scripts to deploy Helpdesk Buttons. That deploys everything else, and then they remove it. So I would definitely resource our Facebook group, because I think we have a lot of users that actually take advantage of that tool, and I've heard it's pretty awesome.
I've been hearing it a lot over demos recently, and someone shared their screen and showed me, and it was really cool. Ari, I don't know if we have a link to that, but we can sure try to find it.
Awesome. Quick question here from Anonymous. He says, Tatiana once showed me a URL to purge my data. Is there a URL to select, which selectively deletes only old tickets? So currently there is not a way to kind of, I mean, you can export your ticket information, and we do have an internal tool that allows you to import your tickets back through. Again, I don't know if that's the best way to kind of do a bulk export and a bulk import like that. I think if you delete your tickets, you would have to do that kind of like on an individual basis currently.
Rick wants to know, there was talk on Facebook group that document signing is on the roadmap. Is that accurate? I believe that's accurate. I don't know where on the roadmap. I don't have a time frame for you, but I do believe that that's accurate.
Okay, next question here is from Sebastian. He says, this seems so simple, but I can't find that in the admin area. How do I change the email template that gets sent out when a customer creates a ticket, for example? Not the canned response, but the actual automatic emails when a ticket is created. Not a simple question, really good question. I'm sure someone else in here is wondering the same thing. So thank you for asking, for sure. If you go over, again, if you go over to more and then to your admin section, under this main section in here, you have your PDF and email templates. And so this is where you not only customize what your invoices look like, what your tickets look like. If you go over to the email template section, in here is where you actually edit the actual email message that goes to the customer, not the PDFs that are attached. So if a ticket is created, you can edit that in here. You can drag and drop a ton of different available tags here. You can, if you're really savvy with HTML, you can really make it look and feel exactly the way that you want it to. So hopefully that helps.
Four minutes.
How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing, everybody?
Jay wants to know, when importing from Autotask, can clients be selected, or does the process pull everything over? It's an all or nothing. And let me just really quickly, I think it's worth just showing this because obviously if you're checking out Synchro for if you're in a trial, you're probably using something else. And so it's worth just showing. If you head to our App Center, I don't know why I keep going to the admin section before I go to the App Center. And so if you go to the App Center and you scroll towards the bottom, I just wanted to show you. So the specific questions was in regard to our Autotask importer. But as you can see, ConnectWise, Atera, Ninja, we also have a universal deployment script as well. So we're also working on SolarWinds right now. So we have a lot of really amazing ways to migrate your account to Synchro pretty dang seamlessly and be up and running as quickly as possible. So if you haven't seen those, glad to take a second to just make sure everyone knows that they're there.
Mm-hmm. I also just dropped into the chat box. We did an interview, I think it's been at least a couple months now, of a user that moved over from Autotask to us and moved across just a ton of information in a matter of a couple of hours. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. It's on our YouTube channel, and I posted a link in the chat box.
Perfect. And then someone said, can you list out the PowerShell commands inside the Synchro module? I would recommend, if you don't have a trial, if you do have a trial account, you'll be able to see those PowerShell commands, but I would recommend signing up for a free trial, and then you'll have access to that. You'll be able to have the PowerShell module. I promise we're no pressure. It's just us.
Scott wishes there was a Freshdesk ticket migration. So just so everybody knows too, if you don't see the import tool that you want, of course, request it. And that's obvious. That's what that's doing. But also the other thing is there are specific importer tools that we have that are internal. They are somewhat limited, like for a ticket import from wherever you're coming from. As long as you can export your tickets into a CSV, our technical support team can use an internal tool and import those. So that goes for like custom assets, invoices, tickets, Was there anything else? Anyways, so there's like a specific amount of columns, like you can't customize the import. So in a way, there are some limitations there, but it's achievable.
Perfect. I see a couple really quick questions. So can you show me where I would find those? I am in a trial. I went ahead and sent you the information. You just go into scripts, and if you open any script or you click on new scripts, you'll be able to, oh, okay, I'll just show you guys. So we've got a couple other people asking about it too. Okay, here we go. Let me just pop open into scripts. There's two different places where you can do this. You can either open a new script or open any other script. You just have to scroll past the script window here, and you'll see the PowerShell module. So this will be a list of the built-in PowerShell. So hopefully that helps. And again, you can open any script, scroll down, and you'll be able to see that there. And then I saw another question really quickly. Sebastian, you do have to create invoices. So he's seeing the create your first invoice for a full preview. You do have to make sure you have invoice. I think it's one, maybe two invoices in Synchro before you'll be able to see that preview. I feel like you do have some, but no.
He says that's on any email, even for the ticket. Yep, you have to create an invoice first in order to be able to edit those and preview them.
I think you have to have 3 tickets and 1 invoice for your stuff to populate.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Question here was, and I don't know the answer, maybe if we'll get a quick response. I'm not sure if we'll have enough time, but Jordan says, is the PowerShell module available from scripts to run independently on an endpoint or live PowerShell session? So yes, you can run it independently on one single endpoint if you'd like, just by accessing the endpoint, going to the script section, and then just running that one single script right on that one single endpoint. For your part where you said live PowerShell session, I'm assuming that's like when you're running like via Synchro Live. I don't think that's currently available, but it is on the single endpoint.
I gotta pop off for a demo, and you guys probably do too. Sorry, guys.
Yes, no, that's okay. Thank you guys. I was just gonna, there's one more question that I was just gonna answer really quick, but yes, bye, Brandy. Last question from Bob, real quick. We are in the middle of the trial and have imported ConnectWise. When we go live, are we able to reset all our data and re-import ConnectWise? Yes. So there is a small time frame where like you get a self-serve button to like purge everything. But if you're outside of like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, if you don't see the option to purge like customers' tickets, like all of that stuff, just email help@syncromsp.com. They're going to send you a purge link. You can purge everything and then re-import, no problem. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. It's always so fun. Thanks for all the awesome questions. Have a wonderful Friday and weekend. Stay safe. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.